Hey, my sweet Kit Kats. I thought we would do a little informative formflex usage tips and tricks video together today. So I am speeding this up, but just a bit. So I'm going to use this Chic Borders mold from Decoupage Queen. The purple emblems mold is from TH Decor. You get a little card like that in every order of your formflex. That is just a little container of cornstarch, and that is all you want to use, just a light dusting in your molds when you're using your formflex. So formflex is a molding compound that stays flexible, which is amazing in crafting. This is what the package looks like when you receive it, and I do keep mine chilled out in the refrigerator at all times. Just pull it out when I need it. And when I'm done using it, I put it back into the refrigerator. I also do a little dusting of cornstarch on my hands. That seems to help a lot, as well as that plastic little card and my palette tool. You don't really need to work this compound at all. You can start using it right away. And I like to roll them into these little snake type forms, so you have one solid piece, if possible, when you're filling your molds. Try not to overfill too much. It'll make it easier a little bit later on to get that off. And by just chilling it in the refrigerator, it just gives the compound a consistency that is a little bit easier, in my opinion, to work with. And that is what formflex recommends as well. So I'm going to show you that it can be used in virtually any mold. I do end up having to add just a little bit there. And I'm pushing down and kind of pushing at the same time. You'll see that again here in just a moment. Now I'm taking that little plastic card that you get with your order, and I'm just pushing it down over my formflex just to make sure we're picking up all the beautiful details in this frames mold. Smoothing it out just a bit. And you see here, there are little areas in many of your molds. Those are called relief areas. You want to make sure those are free of having formflex on them. That will help to release your mold a bit later on. So we're going to move on to the Chic Borders from Decoupage Queen silicone mold here. I just want to do a little trim piece. So again, I'm rolling that out into that little snake and just kind of pushing down and almost pulling at the same time, very gently, using that card to push it down in. If you get anything on your card or a little bit of formflex sticks on there after a while, go ahead and try to remove that. Same thing with your palette tool. It just helps to not have anything stuck on the tools that you're going to use. And you can see there it was really easy to just kind of take my palette tool and get that excess off. Then these two molds come from Temu. So sometimes they aren't quite as deep, but they have a good amount there of those relief spots I was talking about earlier. And you just want to make sure those are open. By open, I just mean not covered in your formflex. I always do that snake rope type shape with my formflex, so I try as hard as possible not to have to put it in chunks or pieces. One solid rope of formflex works the best. Just carefully pushing it down into all the yummy details of that mold. This makes a beautiful medallion type mold to use in your crafting. And of course, as your formflex starts to warm up a bit as it's sitting out and the warmth from your hands, it does stick to my fingers a bit, so I just kind of reapply that cornstarch as needed. Just making sure I have good coverage in all areas there, using my little card, getting off any stuck-on formflex there. Same thing on my palette tool, anything that might be stuck on. A little more cornstarch on there will help to prevent it from sticking. Pushing that down, get a nice smooth back on it, and just making sure those little relief areas are free of formflex. That's definitely going to help you later when you try to release them. So I'm using my little palette tool there just to make sure that I can see those. Pushing down. There's my little relief areas open. They blend in a little bit as they are the same color as the mold. I'm going to do the same thing with this butterfly mold. I've used this one so many times. Making my rope piece there. And these are just some of the things that work for me. You might find that other tips and tricks work for you. I just thought it would be helpful for those of you who are possibly new to using formflex, or even if you already love it as much as I do, maybe you could pick up something that you didn't know before. So my fingers are getting a little sticky. You can see some of the formflex sticking there. Just a little cornstarch really helps that a lot. Now this mold always gives me a little bit of trouble, and you'll see that later on. There is a small area of the butterfly's body and the little antenna. And oftentimes little areas like that still give me a little bit of trouble. I just need to keep on practicing, but I'll show you a bit later and tell you what I mean. And then just taking my palette tool, almost on a 45-degree angle there, just to wipe away any of that excess formflex. And I just keep moving my mold in all different directions. That helps a lot. And I'm just trying to make sure I have a nice smooth surface on the back and that is not too overfilled with formflex. Those little antennae there are what I'm kind of taking that excess away from. Again, I'm using my little card to push that down. It is amazing to me the detail that you can pick up by using this product. Smoothing it out nicely. Putting back my excess there and grabbing just a bit more. I'm so sorry to walk away, but I wanted to show you that you could use these in even some of the really shallow pink molds, such as this. You just have to take a little more care, be a little more patient. These are super flimsy. Again, just cornstarch the areas that you're going to do. That is the only thing I use when I am using my formflex. Making my little rope there. This is just a super tiny, very delicate portion of this pink mold. And sometimes when I come in there and try to take off the excess, it might pull right out of the mold. That happens, especially if they're a little more shallow. Just go ahead and add a little bit of extra if needed. Push it back down in there. Putting a little more cornstarch on my fingers there just to help from anything sticking to them. And then kind of getting that excess away. We're going to do the same thing here. This is a really pretty mold that I love to use for these little corner pieces. And once we're done filling our molds, all of them are going to go into the freezer for a minimum of 20 minutes. On some of the more intricate molds, I do leave them in there longer. If you accidentally forget and leave it in overnight, that is perfectly okay. It will still be great to use and to release out of your molds the next day. Okay, they have been in my freezer and now I've taken them out and we're going to kind of release these here. As you see me kind of pulling away from my formflex piece on my mold, it just starts to pop right out for me. And I'm going to keep these laid out on some parchment paper. As soon as you start pushing on your silicone mold, many times they will pop right out for you. As you can see here, pretty little embellished pieces. There is that tiny, dainty one. Sometimes I push together underneath the mold to help with the little intricate details. Here is that medallion, so you're releasing the mold away from your formflex, and you can see those little holes there where my relief areas are. And it comes out beautifully, and look at that detail, it's gorgeous. You might get a little flashing there, a little bit of extra formflex that you don't need. You can just take your fingernail and kind of swipe that away. And you want to release these right away after you take them out of your freezer. This is one that I use often in this beautiful Prima mold. And I'm just releasing away from my formflex, just a little bit at a time. Gorgeous detail. It amazes me every time I do it. Now, sometimes these pieces give me a little bit of trouble, and I just did a portion of this mold. And you're going to see here in a second right there, my leaf broke off of the vine. That is perfectly okay. When you're using it, you can definitely piece it back together, or if you're not happy with it, grab up those pieces. You see that one split there also. Just ball them back up in your hands until the warmth from your hands kind of softens it again, and you can reuse your formflex so there's no waste. And for me, I think it's just a matter of practice here, but I wanted to show you that it happens to me, so if it happens to you, don't be too hard on yourself. Pretty little trim pieces. Here's our butterfly. I can always get the wings out just fine, releasing my mold away from the formflex all the way around. And that little body and antenna of the butterfly, I can never get them out in one piece. But I've done this many times before, and I've pieced them together, and you would never be none the wiser that that happened. So there you can see they're still in there. Sometimes if you push together the silicone portion, it will help release those little tiny details. And then this one, the emblems mold, it's a nice, chunky, beautiful frame. Just release, push down in the center. Look at that, so pretty. Oh my gosh. And I will leave these sit out on my parchment paper for a good 24 hours. And then I will store them in a container that has a lid on it that I can seal. These are some examples of pieces that I've done over the time. This beautiful fleur-de-lis, it is perfectly flexible. I made a little topper out of a few crowns that I glued together. This is all formflex compound. I usually do a whole bunch of castings, then store them away, and I have lots of options and things to use on my projects. So beautiful. It does help if you put layers of parchment paper in between. I have some in there someplace. Pretty little locks. All sorts of things. Little banners, nice and flexible. Seal that shut and I am good to go. And then here's some projects. I just wanted to show you a few examples of things that I have used formflex on. It is so pretty. Here's a formflex butterfly. This is a little can that I upcycled. That's formflex. A mixed media piece. All those molds are formflex. Here is a garbage can I did from my bathroom, and you can use either Tight Bond or Stick Fast to adhere your molds on. I hope this helped you guys. Thank you so very much for watching.